Nakatayo kami doon on a ridge, may active landslides on the side, nagpapadrone, and then nag-earthquake. So, syempre, by the time na tapos na yung earthquake, you realize na na we were really lucky na.
Magandang araw mga kapwa-siyentista at welcome sa Behind the Science podcast kung saan ay nakikipag-usap tayo sa mga leading scientists ng UP Diliman College of Science at UP Resilience Institute. Sa podcast na ito ay pag-uusapan natin ang mga behind the scenes or ang behind the science stories ng mga research nila. Simula sa kung paano nila ito naisipan gawin hanggang sa na-publish na nila ang research nila. Ang guest natin for today ay ang Chief Science Research Specialist ng Education Division ng UPRI at lecturer din siya ng UP National Institute of Geological Sciences or UPNIGS. At the same time, lab supervisor din siya ng Volcano Tectonics Laboratory. Nagtapos siya ng BS Geology at MS Geology sa UP Diliman at currently ay PhD candidate din siya ng Geology sa the same university. Ang expertise niya ay nagre-revolve around natural hazards, flood modeling, GIS, and disaster risk reduction. At naging bahagi din siya ng ilang quick response assessment team during disasters tulad ng 2020 Taal Eruption, 2019 Cotabato Earthquakes, and 2019 Central Luzon Earthquakes. So without further ado, let's all welcome Sir Richard L. Ybañez.
Hi, good day everyone. Hi Paul. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Para sa mga viewers, ang podcast pala na ito ay co-presented ng UP Diliman College of Science and UP Resilience Institute. So ayun, ang pag-usapan natin ngayon ay ang paper ni Sir Rich about dun sa quick response assessment nila during disasters. Pero bago natin yun pag-usapan, alamin muna natin ang very brief na journey ni Sir Rich kung paano siya napunta sa science sector. So sir, when did you realize na gusto nyo magtrabaho sa science sector?
Working is, di ko alam actually when. But I've been in science clubs ever since. Tapos, during high school, one of the longest sitting presidents ako sa science clubs and even led yung group of science clubs. So parang at very young age, I knew na science talaga ang gusto kong gawin. And siguro for work, parang hindi na siya realization. It was an acceptance of nandito na ako eh. So where else is there to go?
So bali ang nangyari sir, kumbaga dahil sa work nyo, kaya napunta dyan ngayon sa ginagawa nyo. Kasi geology from undergrad hanggang ngayon, tapos paano kayo napunta sa DRR?
Paano napunta sa DR? Sige. Ibang journey pa yan. So, siyempre, as you've introduced, geol naman ako ever since. So, I chose this course kasi may fascination with the outdoors. At the same time, yung other sciences, sorry sa matatamaan, pero syempre, siguro mas abstract. Hindi kasing appealing. And when I was young, I was introduced to pag-akit ng Baguio, Sakada, mga ganun. And it was simply a marriage of two different things that I like, science and the outdoors. DRR, very specifically, kumbaga natangay na lang ako sa lab ni Dr. Dagmay. Of course, as an undergrad, pumasok ako sa Volcanic Tectonics lab. More for the interest of volcanoes, of what the lab was doing at the time. And at the same time, during that time, biglang nagda-dive into DRR and hazards din yung VTech lab. So Dr. Dagmay and the elders of the lab, na-involve sila heavily sa 2009 din sa Ugon na landslide. And then, yung succeeding disasters after that, Ondoy, and the other, siyempre Sendong, mas lumalakas yung engagement ng lab with these events. Kasi interestingly enough, the same things that you used to study volcanoes, eruptions, parang napaka-applicable rin nila to landslides, to flooding, remote sensing, modeling, and such. And I stayed in the lab. I'm since second year undergrad nasa lab na ako, and I uh, napaka-cheesy, pero I've grown more and more in love with the direction of the laboratory ever since. So much so na syempre, eventually, nung senior na ako sa lab, along with Dr. Lagmay, may contribution na ako to the direction of the research lab. And we were able to take it to places that we felt we were very passionate about. We felt helped a lot of people. Yun yung maganda sa pagstay sa field na ito. Na of course, we, with our fellow scientists, we share a very deep love of the science. And at the same time, it's very rewarding na that same love of the science and practice of the science also is able to contribute to life saving.
Para sa mga viewers pala, dati akong student ni Sir Rich. Naalala ko yun sa Geology 11.1. At that time, I think, doon ba nag-start ang Project NOAA, sir? Parang 2000, around 2012 yata yan.
2012, 2013. 2013 siya formally na-establish.
Kasi naalala ko yun during that time. Ikaw po yata, sir, yung in charge doon sa... Kasi may malaking monitor doon pagkapasok mo ng NIGS. Tapos
Right.
may mga flood hazard na naka-display.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about DRR, ang pag-usapan natin ngayon ay ang paper ni Sir tungkol dun sa quick response assessment nila sa mga disasters na nabanggit ko kanina. At ang title nito ay Imaging Ground Surface Deformation in Post-Disaster Settings via Small UAVs. So sir, can you explain your paper in one sentence? Pero bago pala yun sir, ano yung meaning ng UAV?
Unmanned aerial vehicles. So, mas technical na term for drones. So, in one sentence, basically, we developed a framework and a set of guidelines to fly drone missions in post-disaster settings na, of course, is different from mas chill and laid-back setting to map and to preserve ground deformation structures like faults, like landslides, like subsidence, and to provide that kind of guideline to effectively generate or efficiently generate yung products na hinahabol mo. Kasi, sige, ito na yung next sentence. uh, kasi you only get one shot. Post-disaster setting nga, it's not like other fieldworks na you can stay a week, stay a few days, na pwede mong balik-balikan. Talagang medyo guerrilla science siya na you go there, you do the thing, and whatever you get, regardless of the quality, yun na yun. Kasi you can't linger. Kasi they're very much in the in the recovery process pa. And it's, the science itself, the small UAVs, yung using it to survey, using it to generate, to preserve these kinds of surface deformations or basta surface things in general, medyo new siya. So, in looking at the literature, kasi obviously, ina-apply na namin siya, wala kaming manap na guidelines. A lot of this was touch and go. So, we wanted to preserve that knowledge, preserve that experience na pwedeng magamit ng iba.
Ayun. So, ito yung type ng research na personally natutuwa akong tingnan kasi dati, yung concept ko ng mga geologists, mga bato lang tinitingnan nila.
Yeah.
Pero, pero nung na-encounter ko si Sir Rich no undergrad, yung mga subjects na nakuha ko under sa kanya, more on parang doon ko nalaman na yung mga tech-savvy people, pwede rin pala maging, pwede
May
rin
lugar
maging
pa sa
geologist.
geology.
Opo. So, hindi lang siya puro mga bato.
Exactly.
And so sir, matanong ko lang, anong drones yung ginamit nyo dito?
So for this, meron kaming Mavic Air, which is a small commercial-sized drone. Ito yung usually makikita nyo pag ginagamit ng wedding photographers. Ganitong model ginagamit nila. And the other is a Mavic 2 Pro. It's also a commercial drone na high-end for shooting videos and high-resolution pictures. So, for this publication, wala kami actually ginamit na yung mga dedicated surveying drone, yung mga may RTK and such. Commercial drones lang ito.
Ay, by the way, hindi pala ito sponsored ng ano.
Pwede.
pero, pero baka naman,
Tayo.
kung nanonood sila. Bali, yung ginagawa lang, sir, ng drone na to ay parang, ano lang siya, parang mga images. Wala siyang other features like mga LiDAR, something like
Wala.
that.
It's actually the technology is pretty amazing actually na it's yung GPS lang niya is kamukha nung GPS ng smartphones natin. In fact, baka nga in some cases mas accurate pa yung GPS ng smartphone than yung sa onboard ni drone. So, the technology is yung stereo, as you remember sa geomorphology. When you have a lot of, di ba, in stereo, you have two images and you use those two to sort of create a 3D effect of a certain image. For a drone, it takes dozens and dozens of pictures. Tapos yung pixel na yon, if it's like a dozen pictures around that single pixel, kaya na niya more or less accurately i-locate in 3D space. So, then generate na niya yung 3D model na yan with a lot of pictures.
Ayun, nabanggit mo kanina, sir, ano, no? Usually yung mga drones na to ginagamit for mga weddings.
Yes.
So baka kung may mga nanonood dito na mga photographers or videographers, ayun, baka may maisip na kayo na extra na racket. Kung may mga drones kayo, pwede din pala siya magamit for DRR
Mura lang
research.
yung drone na kailangan to do this. Hindi talaga kailangan mag-invest ng kalakihan.
So with that, sir, how did you formulate yung paper nyo? Kasi ano ba siya, parang matagal nyo na siya plinano or ano lang siya, parang naging resulta ng mga sunod-sunod na disasters. Kasi hindi naman napaplano yung mga earthquake and
Exactly.
volcano
In
eruption.
our field of work, hindi lang for publication, pero yung mga nagma-masters, nag-PhD, hindi yun napaplan minsan eh. Minsan dumarating na lang yung disaster and then you work on it and then meron ka na palang master's thesis. For this paper, hindi namin siya plinano ahead of the disasters. It's just we responded to the three different disasters. And ano nga sa sobrang bilis nung pangyayari na Central Luzon and then Cotabato and then Taal. Between Cotabato and Taal, that was 3 months. 3 months between responding. Tapos sobrang short time talaga. So we didn't even have time yet to fully process and understand the data that we got. May susunod na. And syempre, pandemic, medyo nanahimik na ang buhay. And we were able to look at what we had accumulated over the past year for the three disasters. And ayun, it became very clear that we were sitting on something that would be useful if we put it out. Not so much yung actual data. Kasi if you look at each of the data that we got, medyo simple lang. Sa Pampanga may subsidence, Cotabato may ilang landslides, nothing out of the ordinary as far as DRR hazards literature goes. Nothing unique. Pero nung pinagsama-sama na and how we got that data, which is yung drone, parang doon namin na-feel na this could be useful for future use.
And so with that, sir, tanong ko lang kasi 'di ba ano siya, quick response assessment ng mga disasters. So how did you fund yung ganitong projects nyo?
The past na yung spiel ko that the UP Resilience Institute is fully funded by the Office of the President under the UP system. So they established in 2016. 2017, when Project NOAA was defunded by the UST, inadopt na siya by the UP system. as the core component of the UPRI. Now, all of that is to say that UP has been very, very generous in funding the Resilience Institute and its activities. May recognition that the work that the institute and our fellows across the UP system do for DRR is very useful. It's very impactful. So, kung funding, as far as funding goes, UP has been very generous funding all of these quick response teams.
And very very nice yung ano sir, parang kumbaga may dedicated kayo na fund for the quick response. So parang hindi na kayo nagkakaproblema na ano, pagkatapos ng disaster may makukuha na kayo agad na data, hindi yung medyo matagal pa yung time na hintayin nyo bago makapag-field.
Ginagawa naman na ito ng UP before na, but naka-scale down na into the systems. Kunyari, si NIGS, magpapadala, National Institute of Geological Sciences, it will bring or send a quick response team. Parang own funds na niya. Pwede siya maglabas sa sarili niyang funds or through the research labs funds. So, parang mayroon namang mechanism and there is some money of UP that has always been going into these kinds of research and extension services. Maganda since the UPRI was set up to be at the top sa kasama ng Office of the President. We have that flexibility and the resources. And when we mobilize, kunyari, ng COVID, hindi lang naman RI ang gumagamit ng fund na yun. For example, for COVID, we have fellows in different sectors, sa STAT, sa UP Manila. Parang we are able to funnel as well those funds to the different fellows, different constituent units para magamit sa DRR.
Eh, kapag sinabi po palang quick responser, ilang days usually yun from the time of the event hanggang sa pumunta kayo doon? Tapos ilan ilan yung team members nyo usually na pumupunta?
Ang team is kung sino mahagilap kasi minsan biglaan talaga. Um, the farthest yung longest duration that we've had to wait to mobilize is siguro 2 weeks. Depende rin kasi if we go too early, parang syempre you put yourself in the way of danger. For example, si Sir Mahar, Taal Eruption, Sunday night, he was already heading up to Tagaytay. Pero very much so active disaster area pa siya, di ba? Na nag-erupt pa si Taal, ashfall was still very much falling. He turned back kasi hindi pa kayang magulo pa on site. And so we returned 2 weeks after when the ash settled, to survey the area. So really siguro it's just a term, pero really the objective is to go there to see the immediate effect or impact of the hazards or the disaster.
So dito sir, sa paggawa niyo ng research, aside dun sa putting yourselves into danger kapag masyadong mabilis kayo mag-respond, ano yung other challenges na na-experience ninyo dito?
Actually, yun. Yung bulk is putting yourself in the way of danger. Siguro, and it's emphasized also in the paper, yung post-disaster na term. You're going into areas na walang kuryente, very much displaced ang communities. Siguro one of our most challenging was Cotabato. Kasi sa Cotabato, the landslides were so expansive na entire barangays were being evacuated. And so, going to where there were landslides, nakaharang na yung daan, you see tent cities all around, and you had to navigate these areas. In particular, Cotabato din is medyo NPA hotspot pa raw. So, may bit-bit pa kaming military escort in a post-disaster area. And again, due to the to the extent of the landslides, meron ring mga FIVOX and MGB on the ground to help the LGU assess yung landslide areas, yung evacuation areas, and talagang kahit sila na syempre sila yung mandated to assist the LGU, overwhelmed sila. Para silang mga doktor sa ER during a mass casualty event na talagang on call. Pag kakatapos mo pa lang i-address ang isang problem, there's another site to visit or to assess, another problem to address. So, uh, di ba, working in that kind of environment, it was very challenging. We don't know what to prioritize. Resources were limited, time was limited, and then people are in active displacement and suffering around you. So medyo yun, challenge with that.
Paano pala yun, sir, halimbawa, yung sa 2019 Cotabato Earthquakes, 'di ba parang sunod-sunod 'yun ng mga earthquakes, apat ba 'yun or something
Yes,
na.
apat na malalaking earthquake.
Kapag pumunta kayo doon tapos biglang nagkaroon ng lindol, ano usually yung ginagawa niyo? Parang kina-cancel niyo ba yung fieldwork para mag-reschedule or tuloy pa rin kayo?
Sakto yung tanong mo kasi it just so happened na si Sir Mahar and I and a dozen military escorts, nahanap namin yung fault. We were on a ridge, standing exactly on the fault as implied by the remote sensing products. So sabi ni remote sensing tawag dito, deformation, nandun siya. So nakatayo kami doon on a ridge, may active landslides on the side, nagpapadrone, and then nag-earthquake. So, syempre, by the time na tapos na yung earthquake, you realize na na we were really lucky na wala nangyari doon. So, hindi kinakancel kasi nandun na kami. Syempre, as geologists, we have a better understanding of the risks involved of standing on a ridge while earthquakes or kung may landslide area na delikado pa. We assess those risks on site and then see if we should proceed.
Yung next part, ito siguro yung medyo mabigat na discussion pagdating sa DRR. Kasi yung pag-uusapan na natin ngayon ay the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yung mga most memorable experiences nyo habang ginagawa yung research na to. So usually yung ginagawa namin, sinisimulan namin siya sa good memory. Pero since more on disaster yung pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, pwede nyo ba, sir, ma-share yung una yung worst experience ninyo on the ground? Isa-isa during these events dun sa Taal Eruption, sa Cotabato Earthquakes, at yung Central Luzon na Earthquakes.
Yung sa Cotabato, well, yun, kakakwento ka lang, sitting on a ridge during an earthquake. Siguro sa Taal, it was a complete opposite. So medyo, talaga when you're a geologist, you go to different disaster sites created by different types of natural hazards, napaka-stark ng contrast between the settings. So, Cotabato was very puro evacuation areas. Taal, we went into the within the 14-kilometer extended danger zone 2 weeks after the eruption. So, talagang ghost town yung San Nicolas and all of the coastal towns. They had been evacuated already for 2 weeks. Walang tao. And the threat of the eruption was still very much present. We had gone into to map using the drone yung mga fissures na namuo dun sa southwest sector ng Taal Lake sa San Nicolas area. Ayun, there's always that fear. Siyempre, as geologists, alam natin na sometimes very little warning. You can have a cataclysmic eruption in a very short amount of time. And the fear was very much present. So lagi kaming um, quick moving, kaya ready sumakay sa sasakyan at any time. Talagang you're always aware of which direction is palayo sa Taal. And it was, siguro it was very surreal then working in a ghost town like that. Kahit saan naman sa Pilipinas pumunta ka, landslide, earthquake, flood, laging may tao, laging people are there trying to rebuild. And it was our first time to work in an area na ghost town talaga. Mga hayop talagang natira. And you're still afraid na another eruption would happen. So I guess that we can count that as the worst. Parang it's very ano ba, emotional seeing people who are directly affected or impacted by the disaster. That the different sites that we've been to. Pero mas um, eerie, mas unsettling to be in an area na completely evacuated. Kasi medyo you can say matigas ang ulo ng Pilipino or resilient ang Pilipino, one way or the other. But in any disaster area, you'll always see people staying, trying to save what they can. That was the first time na wala talagang tao.
So sir, kasi pumupunta kayo sa ano, sa mga disaster-stricken na mga area. Bago po ba kayo pumunta do'n, nagkakaroon kayo muna ng, for example, orientation kung paano i-handle yung emotions niyo kapag nakita niyo na yung mga on the ground events?
Wala. Interestingly, wala. Pero hindi na wala na sa scope ng paper nito, pero we had a team go to Leyte, sa Abuyog because of the landslide there last year, 2022. Um, it was a landslide tsunami event and cascading hazard siya. That landslide generated a tsunami. And the only way that you can get that data, yung process, 'di ba? Process-oriented tayo. Bukod sa deposit, we need to understand the process. And so the only way to actually find that out is to interview people. Parang, anong oras po yung landslide, anong oras yung pangalawang landslide, ano nangyari yung tumama yung landslide sa dagat, nagka-tsunami. And of course, the people experience this firsthand. Yung ikakwento nila, hindi lang na matter of fact na, ay, oo, nag-landslide, tumama sa tubig. Siyempre, they will very much infuse their own experience and emotions into that. Na natiwasan nga nila yung landslide, pero natangi sila ng tsunami, na they struggled for their life, etc. And, ayun, some of the members of our team at the time, which hindi pala equipped to deal with that intake of information. So we have not yet had any formal siguro training or preparation for that kind of thing. Pero kasi this was also the first time na talagang medyo naging heavy yung discussion. But it's something that we will definitely consider in the future.
Pero yung after sir, for example, ano na, after nung fieldwork, pagkatapos niya na ma-encounter yung, let's say, traumatic event na yun, may ano ba siya? Or wala din? Parang therapy session after nung fieldwork, gano'n? Or wala pa rin siya?
Wala pa. But if there are viewers who would like to suggest na siguro specialists in that field that would like to collaborate with us, we'd be very open to. Kasi we do need that kind of preparation. Very syempre tayo science-oriented tayo. Our training is in a very, very set kind of specialization, but this is also something else talaga.
I guess diyan din pumapasok yung mga interdisciplinary na research kasi pagdating sa disasters hindi lang puwede na yung technical aspect, eh. Nandun yung involvement ng mga tao. So may madami din siyang mga social aspects.
Mm-mm. And not only for us na for our well-being, but of course also for the well-being of those who are impacted. Kasi, syempre, may outsiders, merong people from Manila, for example, that darating on-site will collect data from them. Syempre, it's also good ethics to to give something back to the community. So actually, that's may bit din na na specialists to also not to also help them deal with what they experience. Hindi yung in-interview lang for the data and then that's it. Thank you, goodbye. Parang a holistic approach to that would also be bringing in medical help, psychosocial help, which was done, I think, in Sendong. Hindi na lang RI, pero nung whole UP community. During Sendong, halo-halo yung responders. There was NIGs, as geologists, merong engineers, as structures, merong psychosocial, merong um, nag-identify ng cadavers na hindi na ma-identify. So, yun ang maganda pag sa dating sa UP, you have all of these different specializations. And when you work together, you're able to deliver a lot of different services and benefits to those who are impacted.
And so sir, nabanggit niyo yung magandang part ng ginagawang research ng UP pagdating sa DRR ay nai-involve yung iba't ibang field of specializations. So with that sir, may other things pa ba na pwede niyong masabi na good experience pagdating sa DRR research, or ano yung most memorable na good experience ninyo sa mga na-encounter ninyo na events dito sa paper na to?
For this particular paper, I think being able to bring the science down to the community. As sad as it is, syempre, when people are leading their daily lives, hindi naman sila titigil sa araw-araw nila to interview a geologist. Uy, paano ba nangyayari ang landslide? Paano ba nangyayari ang earthquake? Hindi ganun lang ang normal everyday. But when a disaster happens like this, and people are syempre talking about it, and tayo, we're able to be there in the community to help them, to help address their worries. Nag-aalala sila, may susunod pang malaking earthquake, yung landslide ba pwedeng manggaling dito, manggaling dyan, na baka hindi naman. So they're worrying na wala naman, na hindi naman talaga mangyayari. And us being present there, we're able to have that dialogue to to learn from their experiences, as well as to explain our understanding of the situation, of the hazards in the area. So yun yung one of my best experiences when we get to have that dialogue with the community, and you see their interest, you see na syempre, based on their own experience, mas lumalalim ang understanding nila sa earth processes, hazard processes. And hopefully it's something that they can use to prepare next time, kasi inevitably kahit sa Pilipinas may next time at may next time talaga. So yun, being able to provide that kind of service directly to the community.
So with all that experience sir sa tatlong disasters na yon, tapos na banggit mo nga kanina nung nag-pandemic dun nyo lang nasimulan tingnan yung lahat ng data na nakuha nyo. So at what point sir, or at what point dun sa data analysis nyo na na-realize nyo na ay pwede tayong makagawa ng paper tungkol dito, kasi nabanggit nyo nga kanina merong knowledge gap pagdating dun sa paggamit ng mga drones for disaster research?
Siguro when we were already sitting on that data, na may products na from all three events, and we were trying to look back at, okay, how did we do it in Pampanga, how did we do it in Cotabato, how did we do it in Taal, how will we do it in the future. Syempre, we can do a manual for internal use, common naman yun, pero better yet, why not turn it into a publication, kasi it's definitely something that others will be able to use. So when we were drawing up that sort of manual, that okay, you need to do this in these situations to to produce this kind of data. Parang sige, try natin i-publish. Kasi it's something na if you look at the literature, wala rin pa talaga. So habang fresh pa siya, there was also that sense of urgency na syempre marami ng researchers getting into UAVs using drones now. So when we realized that we were sitting on something na time essential na others might put out eventually, because it's very simple. It's mostly based on experience. But it's experience we had na baka wala pa sa other researchers. Then there was that urgency to put it out, syempre, as published work.
After publication, do you have any plans moving forward with this research?
Depende kung may disaster. After this particular research, we are actually able to apply it and add on to it. So we use this same framework. Um, Nakapunta kami ng Taal noong 2021 and 2022 to map the base surge areas. And we computed volume. So that's something na as of this paper no 2020, hindi pa namin alam, kaya pala namin gawin yun. Na we can compute the volume and hence sort of help calculate the volcanic explosivity index of the 2020 eruption. So really, mahirap i-predict ano yung next direction, kasi it's very much a response thing. Parang, okay, may disaster, may hazardous event, let's preserve it using a drone. And then, actually, after na lang lumalabas na, we got something new, or we developed a new method trying to capture this event. Then doon namin pinapublish.
Ay, ngayon ko lang pala naisip, sir.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba, gumagamit kayo ng drone para ma-map yung effects ng eruption, for example. Paano pala yun, sir, 'pag halimbawa meron kang active na ashfall? Puwede bang gumamit ng ibang methods, like for example, remote controlled naman na mga sasakyan imbes na drone?
May ganun na ba tayo dito sa Pilipinas? Wala. Hindi. Yun nga, going back to yung kanina na post-disaster, sabi mo how quick is a quick response team. Syempre, you shouldn't put yourself in the path of danger. And pag nag-ashfall, syempre, wag ka muna magsa-survey after na lang ng ashfall.
Do you have any advice, sir, para sa mga aspiring researchers kung gusto nila ma-involve sa DRR research?
Definitely the work doesn't end. DRR as a field is very new, especially as we shift from research to practice. From practice to research. Um, there's a lot of work to be done. Sa Pilipinas, maraming hazards. Everyone has their own experiences. Anyone who's working in DRR, when you ask them where they started, how they started, and why they do it, it's always a very personal reason, personal experience. And I'd say for those who aspire to get into this field, um, talagang pang a to draw on that experience, to draw on the emotions, draw on the learnings from those experiences, and apply it moving forward. Kasi kahit na lahat tayo may experience and lahat tayo want to contribute to DRR, to reducing the impacts of hazards on your daily life, there's really a lot of work to be done. And regardless of the field you're in, regardless of what you're doing, big or small, there's always something to contribute. Kaya nga, even we have undergrads doing hazard research, hazard projects in their coursework. Kahit yung mga nagagawa nila, it's all new, it's all amazing, and it all can benefit some community kung saan man yung study area nila. If they were able to bring their projects, give it to the study area, benefit na yun. So there's really no work too small in there.
Before we let you go, sir, do you have anything to promote? Mga current projects or naghahanap po ba kayo ng students?
But yes, in a way. So sa UPRI, we partnered with UP Open University kasi um, yun nga, there's a need to institutionalize yung learning of DRR, whether it's for graduate students, undergrads, for practicing professionals, for DRR officers. There's a need to sort of formalize yung training, yung learning of DRR. We learn a lot sa news, we learn a lot from social media, pero maraming hindi na kayang bumalik sa classroom to learn it in an systematized way. So we partnered with UP Open University to bring online courses on hazards to well, to everyone kasi pwede nang i-access online. So nung pandemic, nauso ang Coursera, nauso yung mga online platforms for learning, and this is something that we want to capitalize on. We're partnered with UPOU to use their platform kung paano sila nagdadala ng kanilang um, academic programs to different professionals through an online setting para hindi na kailangan mawala sa trabaho, hindi na kailangan lumuwas from whatever part of the archipelago you're in. You can learn on-site, in your home, at work. We're going to be releasing DRR programs online. The first one is set to launch January 15, and then and that's the overview of resilience and DRR. And then after that, mga mas specialized na courses na throughout the coming 2024. So, yun, sa mga gustong matuto ng mas formal setting, for mas systematic and holistic na DRR things, then you can follow our social media or UPOU social media to to stay updated on the release of those online programs.
Ayun. So, thank you very much, Sir Rich. Dito na nagtatapos yung episode natin na ito, and see everyone sa next episode. Madami pa tayong pag-uusapan sa mga research na ginagawa ng UPRI as well as UP Diliman College of Science.
Thanks everyone. See you, Poth.